beforehand, what were you spending your time on, and how much time were you spending on it, and versus now?
I would say 15% of the week was spent on sales, marketing, etc. This week and last week, I spend now about a third of my time actually on sales and marketing. And my time doing operations has reduced to very little, maybe like 10%.
So you've almost doubled the amount of time. In fact, you've more than doubled the amount of time that you can devote towards sales and marketing.
We also did the sales CRM side, which was huge. Now we have a form on the CRM, just fill that out, boom, send it to the client. There's all these automations on the back end. Before I know it, I've been paid. I have a bunch of channels on my Slack with the clients. The entire library on Google Drive is made. It's almost like magic. I can now work on content, I can write some ads. Basically, the thing that I wanted to do the most in the business, which is I find the most fun. I really thought the more clients you have, the more scale, the more chaos is going to be. And I thought that was normal. But this showed me a brand new normal. A++, 5 stars, Trustpilot.
Cool. What's going on, people? It's Shenny from Icarus Growth. I have Camilo here. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Camilo. I run Epic Ads Lab, an ad creative agency. And I also have a YouTube channel where I teach editors how to make videos.
Cool. So we've been working together now for about 2 months, I would say. And we've had a lot of fun and a lot of jokes. We've also been able to help you out with quite a few things. So I guess my first question for you is, what would you say you were struggling with before you started working with us?
Yeah, the biggest struggle that we had before we started working with you was a mess of operations. So we went from about 3 clients to 11 in a very quick period of time. And we were using Notion as the primary management system. And I had made this really cool Notion board. And I was so gassed about it. And we had a few automations here and there. But as more clients came and as more team members came, it broke. Like I had my VA stressed. I didn't know how to manage it. I was stressed. I couldn't see what was going on, what clients were delayed, what clients had, what the stages were of videos. Editors had access issues and a whole bunch of stuff, and it was actually a nightmare, and it kept me up a lot of nights.
So when you said the things broke, because I'm very aware of Notion's limitations, so I don't need to go into too much depth about how much I just despise Notion for the most part when it comes to a lot of project management stuff. But what would you say was like the first thing to break, and what was sort of like the effects of that? Because I know that you mentioned that people just didn't know where things were and things like that, but like what actually broke?
I think on a psychological level, with Notion, especially when you do ad creatives, there's different stages. There's the scripting, then there's the sending the script to the creator, then there's the editor takes the script and then put the video inside the Notion page. The problem is, at a glance, you can't, when you have so many clients and they have all these different projects, you can't see everything in one spot. You can't connect databases to each other like you can on Airtable, like you did for us. And the first thing to break was just not that gap of information of knowing kind of where things are. And then the other kind of like, I guess, technical thing is uh, for editors to be able to get access, you have to give them access to a single page. And when you have different clients and every client needs a new Notion board, and you have to give access to all those creators. So there's all these repeatable tasks that you have to do that take up, I don't know, maybe like 5-10 minutes, but it's an annoying 5-10 minutes. It just takes you out of flow.
So it's almost like the accumulation of a bunch of different things that you had to have in your head in order to remember that they needed to be done, which at scale just became untenable and was just like, I just can't work with this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's something that I notice a lot. It's almost like you can make it work if you want to, but psychologically you just really don't. And you know that if you continue, things are just going to get worse and worse, and more times going to get spent doing certain things that you know don't need to be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So when it comes to, so obviously we took you from Notion and we mapped out absolutely everything that you wanted to have happen in the order, knowing it alongside us to understand, what kind of automations and what kind of AI could be implemented in order to make those things better. And now we've got you a very nice and clean Airtable interface with everything that would need to be, put into it for you to guys to be able to do the jobs that you need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the biggest challenge from that transition that I've helped you overcome?
For me personally, I had the VA that I told you initially became an operations manager, and because my role in the business became from managing and checking videos to now bringing in more sales and more clients. The biggest challenge that you've helped me overcome was having the right system for the operator to operate, right? So before, she would not really know like what's delayed and what's not, and it was this huge scramble at the end of the month. Whereas with the current Airtable, you can see all the stages, separate stages for each stage, if that makes sense. So the copywriting stage has its own stages, the UGC create stage has its own stages, and the editing stage has its own stages. So now they're not all mixed together. It's not like one big mess, and so it just solves having a good visual on what's happening in the business. So then I can actually sleep more. So you've actually helped me with my insomnia.
That's good to hear, especially with the just the being able to see stuff from, from a glance, and almost open up the ability to look at things from a glance. Because one thing that we did build is the ability for you to see at a glance how many creatives all of your clients have left to be made based on, how you do your systems and how much they need per month and stuff like that. So being able to see that from a glance, and then dig into the people that don't have as many made versus the ones that do have many made, and looking where the bottlenecks are in one place, that does look like something that has been really beneficial for you, which I'm actually pretty happy about.
Nice, awesome, yeah.
Now, there's been a lot of automations that have been built on top of the Airtable system that we made, including like the onboarding of automations, the stuff that happens when the contracts get made, stuff that happens when you want to, like, proposal generators that we generated from your CRMs. If you had to pick one automation that has been the most helpful, what would you say that one would be?
Oof. So yeah, because you did more than just do the Airtable. You also did the sales CRM side, which was huge because before I would like have a sales call, I'll whip up the contract, I'll send the contract, I pray they paid, then they will pay, then I'll have to send them an email and be like, oh, here's the type form and here's this, and then I'll pray they finish that, and then if they didn't, I have to follow up with them and whatever, whatever, whatever. Whereas now, because we use PandaDoc and we have a form on the CRM, we just fill that out, boom, send it to the client, and there's all these automations in the back end. Before I know it, I've been paid. I have a bunch of channels on my Slack with the clients. The entire library on Google Drive is made. The entire Airtable tickets are made. It's almost like magic. It just it just saves you all these things that um as a business owner you don't realize it's gonna at scale gonna be a problem because you do it a couple of times when you get a couple of clients. But I just start to get more, that stuff delays everything because if it takes too long to get everything set up, then the next stage gets delayed and then that gets delayed. It's like traffic. It's like a traffic jam. It takes one
Mm.
person to drive really slowly or build a gap between before that gap actually extends to the rest of the traffic.
Yeah, that's a nice analogy for it as well. Just the idea of traffic,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the onboarding process. Because if you've got, because some that's the reason why some people that I found have wait lists. Like, I've spoken with a number of people who either do short form, long form, or UGC, and when I get on calls with them and they're talking about, the reasons as to why they want to improve their operations, it's because they have a wait list that they've had to build up because
Wow.
they're taking a long time to onboard a lot of people. And if you could get rid of that wait list and just collect cash instead of having people wait for you for, months on end, and then end up losing the person that had already said yes to you, then you'll be able to just realize a lot more cash a lot quicker, which would also just make sales a lot faster as well. So it's all
Exactly.
almost like one massive flywheel from what I've seen.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
One thing that I like to find out from, a lot of people is when I build some of these systems, what the actual tangible results are. So the whole point is for us to, 10x your client capacity and reduce the amount of hours that you work so that you can focus on the things that are the most important. So
Mm.
from like before we started versus now, do you have an idea as to how much you are working versus how much you're working now?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The most tangible thing that I got was actually getting a lot of my time back, and not only my time but also the time of other team members. So myself and my operations manager, we're doing like 60-hour weeks. We were just like clocking in and trying to like check on clients or whatever. I actually have a lot more free time. Like yesterday I was like, from my typical schedule, I had now a lot more free hours. So was like, great, I can now work on content, I can write some ads. Basically, the thing that I wanted to do the most in the business, which is I find the most fun. Other people like operations and whatnot, but I like to make content, do that stuff. So tangibly, I got a lot of my time back, which is stuff that I wouldn't have thought would be possible. I really thought the more clients you have, the more scale, the more chaos is going to be. And I thought that was normal. But this showed me a brand new normal.
Mm. So it's almost like the not only has the time spent working in the business decreased, but the quality of what you choose to spend your time on has also changed as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because also people are not spending their time, you know, asking questions about where do I find this or whatever. They're just spending the time doing the work that they love to do. And so as a leader in a business, I feel like I'm giving them the best chance to find their full potential, the best chance for them to enjoy their work rather than just, being messy and chaosy and just saying, "Oh yeah, that's the game."
Mm. So beforehand, how many? If we were to put like like apples to apples, number to number, beforehand, what were you spending your time on, and how
Mm,
much time were you spending on it, and versus now?
yeah. I actually use a tool called Clockify for my time.
Okay, sweet.
But basically it would be most of the time I would say 15% of the week was spent on sales, marketing, etc. Um, about 40% was spent on like managing stuff, like checking on people, checking work, or checking where things are. Like a 10% was spent on client management, and then the rest was like random shit in the business. So it's like a huge chunk of it was spent on managing the team, whereas this week and last week I spend now about a third of my time actually on sales and marketing, which is the things that I love the most. And my time doing operations has reduced to like very little, maybe like 10%, because now Bianca, my operations, can do it more effectively without my help.
So you've almost doubled the amount of time. In fact, you've more than doubled the amount of time that you can devote towards sales and marketing, basically.
Yeah, I had a whole day where I just filmed some ads, which is great. As before, I'll be like, oh, I want to, but I don't need to make sure that this is done, and I'm gonna check on the client on this, and I'm gonna do it. So yeah.
On that same note, how would you see what we've done, we've already built for you? How do you see that helping you in the future? How do you see the current system scaling? Do you think there's some other things that over time you would, want to look into building as well? Obviously, we're still like currently like working together, so like we have those conversations anyways. But
Yeah.
considering everything that's been built right now with the Airtable and the CRM and the the Kanbans, etc., all the automations, what do you see? How do you see that been helping you? How do you see that helping you in the future?
Yeah. So in the future, well, one of the things I'm very excited about that we're working on right now is the client-facing board where they can see the videos that need to be approved, etc. I think that gives like a nice presence when somebody starts to spend more money with you. They get less buyer remorse and they see as like this is a high quality business. So you're probably gonna get more referrals and repeat business. So as like a for the clients, I think that's gonna be really nice in the future. Apart from that, just kind of exploring what it would be like when all the automations that, for example, a new ticket is made, and then that goes to an editor. When we go from like 8 to 20 editors, from 2 to 10 copywriters, and just having like a nice old machine. I'm excited to see how that goes because that means that I can just focus on bringing in sales, making content, which ultimately that's kind of what I like to do. I like to have sales calls. I like to meet people. I like to make content, rather than focusing so much on just like who's doing what or like where's the information or where's the link. Why can't I access the Notion page? So, yeah.
Sweet. So, why would you then say that my systems have worked for you? Because you've already mentioned that the future is you focusing a lot more on sales and you focusing on content and basically having COO and the rest of the team, however big it may end up becoming, working on all of the work that comes through. Why would you say, in sort of like any other additional words, would you say that the systems have actually worked for you in particular?
Well, they were custom built for us. It wasn't like a cookie cutter thing. At the beginning, when we pan everything out, you literally got each member of the team, and we're like, okay, what do you do? What's step one? What's step two? Okay, then you get to step 34, and you're like, okay, cool, we got this. And then you then build the system out of that, as opposed to just saying, hey, here's my proven system for this business, like copy
Mm.
and paste. Um, and it's kind of that IKEA effect where you build something yourself and you know it's custom, so you love it more. So that's why I think it worked the best, because you did build it custom. You and Percy worked really hard, and any changes or pivots that we had, you guys implemented it. Um, and yeah, like that's I think that's the reason why.
On the note of because I do want to kind of like touch on the custom versus like off the shelf. I have seen some off the shelf stuff which has worked for some people, but very very few people have managed to get it to be in the way and shape and form that it needs to be for their exact purposes. And in order for them to do that, they would need to basically become me and just do a lot of automations and AI and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So on that same note, because I know that we have weekly calls where we'll look at the things that we've built, and we'll do maybe even some live testings or some live showcasing, and then speak to you about any other things that may have popped up.
Yeah.
How has the sort of like support been overall?
Dude, it's been great. We have a weekly call where we go over any problems and challenges. You're very good at managing your time, and you show us kind of what the timeline is, what kind of sprint you're working on. Um, and I think the first few weeks were really incredible, because you mapped out our business, so we, even as the people in the business, could see what the stages were. So we go, oh shit, you know what? Maybe we don't even need this process, or maybe this is taking a bit too long. Maybe this is something that we can work on. So it became like you were part of the team, rather than, yeah, like we pay you for like a off the shelf thing, you implement it, bang. It's more like, okay, this is your business, how you want to run it, and then you implement all of that stuff. So it's been great, the support. Even today we had a call and we just changed up some stuff based on a conversation I had with the copywriting and creative team. So A++, 5 stars, trust pilot.
Sweet man. Any other closing words? Anything else that you wanted to mention that hasn't already been mentioned?
No, for any business owner watching this that's thinking, oh shit, should I invest in my systems or just kind of do what I have? You could by all means just stick with what you have, but you will also have all the problems that you do have because you're watching this video. You will have headaches, you have sleepless nights, and this is investing in uh not like you know getting a car with some next nice new tech. You're actually investing in a whole new architecture, new chassis, new engine, everything, so that you can just add more petrol and just keep, you know, driving much faster. That's what I would say.
Very apt analogy, actually. But no, that's been great, man. Camilo, thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking the time to jump on this call with me.
Of course.
And
Yep.
for anybody else that may be interested, there's going to be links, below, above, to the side, wherever, for you to, have a further conversation and see if there's something that
Sure.
you'd want for yourself as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you
No,
very much.
my pleasure. Bye.